It's showtime, folks. Welcome to the September 23 Q&A. Woo, buddy. We in the building. We in the building. We got questions in the community section. We're going to get into it. Hopefully have some fun tonight. I don't know what WWE did in Japan, but it really chapped the ass of a lot of fans of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, they are really chapped. I was not looking forward to that. All I saw was they signed some deal with a company called Abema. From what I was able to read, Abema is owned by Cyberfight, who also owns Pro Wrestling Noah. And now WWE will be on Abema, which is broadcast television, I'm guessing, in Japan. And it really upset a lot of the Puroresu fan base. They're very upset. They've been attacking the Great Muta. Some even called him a traitor, saying that it was his fault that this all happened. That's why they put him in the Hall of Fame and all of this other crazy stuff. I was like, oh brother, I don't know what happened. All they did is they got put on a TV station. They got a TV contract, and now all of a sudden they act like they're taking over. But it's crazy. WWE has, as far as I know, has not bought anything. They just kind of has a TV deal in Japan that's going to apparently have their live events too. So it's nice, but I don't see why they're flipping out. I maybe have to do a little bit more research into the subject. All I know is I know that Abema is owned by the same company that owns Pro Wrestling Noah, and I think a piece of Abema is also from the same company that owns New Japan Pro Wrestling Cyberfight. But again, I don't know that much about it. I just know what I've been reading over the last several hours of people flipping out because of WWE announcing a deal in Japan, which I didn't think anybody was going to care about. You know, I looked at that and like, who cares? They're on network television in Japan, so what? I didn't know people were going to break down and cry. Some guy even said that it's about as bad as Black Saturday. I'm like, what? When WWE kicked Georgia Championship Wrestling off the air, it's not nearly that bad. It can't nearly be that bad. But I don't know, man. I don't know that much about Japan, so let these guys be upset. All right, are you ready? Are you ready for the Q&A? How is everybody doing? Rachel Buck, WG Phil, I'm him 24/7, and others. Please hit the like button. There's 9 people, so therefore there should be 9 likes. Everybody should hit the like button. I don't know what you guys got against the like button. This channel's got to get. You want the channel to grow, right? All right, let's get started. TV Nihon hosts Japanese Power Rangers bases. Oh, cool. All right. All right. Park and Hunt has 5 questions. Question 1, what are your thoughts on the Acolyte / the APA? Well, the Acolytes, I didn't really care for them as a kid. They were kind of just there. I knew Ron Simmons was pretty cool from his days as Farouk. Of course, he would become cooler with Farouk from the Nation of Domination. Once he joined the Acolytes or were put in the Acolytes or whatever, I kind of shrugged at that. I was never really like Bradshaw. You know, I was never a Bradshaw guy. But the APA, oh, that was fun. Once they started the protection agency, that was fun. That was really fun stuff. And I think it really showed their personalities a lot more, and they became who they actually are. And that worked out a lot better. And plus, I enjoyed their matches more because they were stiff. And once they started showing some personality, I started getting behind their matches a lot more. So I really liked the APA. Great team. Also reminded me of like an 80s buddy team. Like, like Die Hard or, what was the other one? Oh my God, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Lethal Weapon. You know, like it was great in that vein. There's a black guy and a white guy, and they're like Beverly Hills Cop or something like that. So it was kind of like something you grew up with. If you were a child of the '80s and the early '90s, you often had black guys and white guys as partners on shows, and usually the white guy was the leader and the black guy was the sidekick. But it didn't feel that way when it comes to like the APA. It did feel that way for the Dudley Boys, but it didn't feel that way for the APA. And it was something that you was used to. It was like Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed being a tag team, in WWF. That was fun. I really liked the APA. I was not a big fan of the Acolytes though. Second, what wrestlers do you feel never got the push they deserved? Well, I hesitate to use the word deserve because who the hell knows what it takes to deserve a thing. But what wrestlers do I always feel like their push was, let's say they didn't get the push that they probably were warranted, That there's probably people who got pushed that didn't quite deserve it while they didn't get the push. John Morrison is one. Mr. Kennedy is another one. Shelton Benjamin is another one. I guess Cody Rhodes. I was always a fan of Cody. As long as when Cody started to really blossom, which was when he was with his dad and his brother. I thought that's really was peak Cody. I think he should have been. I think he had a really good match with Randy Orton on TV, which really kind of started waking me up to how good Cody could be. So Cody early is one. I guess I want to say Carlito. Carlito had that reputation for being kind of lazy. But Carlito, Chris Masters, I think is another one that probably could have got pushed further. I certainly think he should have been Intercontinental Champion at the very least. I know he feuded with Shawn Michaels, and that didn't go anywhere. I think that was like his tryout. That if he couldn't make it work with Shawn, he just wasn't going to work, and that was it. He didn't really go too far after that. Speaking of Cody, Goldust, I definitely think Goldust probably should have been world champion, and probably would have been if they hadn't neutered the character so much. Vader is, of course, everybody knows by now the myth that Vader, or not the myth, but the fact that Vader was supposed to be world champion in WWF, but Shawn kind of put the kibosh on that. I definitely think Farouk was, should have gotten pushed a little bit more. He never won a singles title, and I thought, we could have had something there with him and Ahmed Johnson for the Intercontinental Championship. That could have been fun. Obviously, Scott Hall, he was a 4-time Intercontinental Champion, never became the world champion. Probably should have been, especially, considering he was working with the guys who ended up becoming world champion. Mr. Perfect, who was like the mentor of all these guys who ended up becoming world champion. Perfect mentor Shawn Michaels and Scott Hall and Bret Hart, and he never became world champion himself. So he was the mentor of all of these guys. And he never became the world champion in WWF. He became world champion in AEWA, but so many people don't count that it is what it is. All right. Oh, wait a minute. What happened here? What we got next? 3. What do you think the main objective is for a debate? Well, for a debate, the main objective is to win over the audience so that people will think that you won. If in a discussion, it is to analyze the topic from a lot of different directions. For a debate, the point is to try to win. It's a competition. A debate is a competition. That's the difference between people when they invite you to a debate or they invite you to a discussion, is to, you throw your 2 cents out there and see what happens. A debate is you actually trying to win something, 4. What series are you currently watching or binging? Sailor Moon, actually. I made it to episode 27 of Sailor Moon. I just stopped it to do this. I'm not watching anything else, though. I don't have time to watch anything else. I pretty much watch wrestling, and occasionally I watch anime. Well, mostly watch anime. And maybe if I watch a TV show, it'll be in short spurts. Like I never got off the 2nd season of Star Trek. I've been watching that Probably because the site that I'm watching it on, it freezes a lot and has a lot of glitches, so it takes me forever to get through an episode. So it really makes me not want to watch it. But I was watching the first season of Star Trek. I was really going through it. It's the original Sailor Moon from the 90s. English only for some reason. I can only find the English dub, so I know that the character names are probably wrong, but we'll figure that out later. 5. Any advice for upcoming content creators? Um, be yourself. Nobody can have your take, your flair, even if a bunch of people agree with you. You know, one thing that I learned from the wrestling YouTube space, I always ask that question, like, you know, so many people have the same take. But then you realize, okay, like they all have their own little unique style, you know? But most of them just seem to say the same thing. But I don't think you should be contrarian for the sake of. Say what you really believe, you know? And even if people disagree with you, if you say what you really believe and you're consistent, then you'll gain an audience. You should always try to do things that other people are not doing, or go after a section of the audience that other people are not trying to go after. You know, um, like I'm more of a general purpose kind of wrestling YouTuber. I don't specialize. Like there's like hyper specialization really helps. Like there's people who only do history, who only do like wrestling history. They don't do like current events. Um, I thought about going into that route, only doing history. But then I don't want to live in the past. You know, I thought about only doing stuff for today. And I was like, I don't want to live in the moment either. You know, I want to be able to fluctuate between the two. I want to be able to go back to the past when necessary. Also do this, analyze things from a different perspective. I wanted to be able to do all of that, but hyper specialization is typically what gets people's attention. So there's a wrestling history channel that literally just reads Wikipedia, and he has like a lot of followers. I literally busted him reading the Wikipedia. I was just like, ah, there's wrestling channels that all they do is title histories, the history of the Ring of Honor television title or something like that. You know, simple videos, but they get a lot of views because people are interested in hyper specialization like that. There's people who do video essays only on Japanese wrestling. There's people who only do TNA. There's people who only do classic WWF. There's plenty of stuff like that. So you can do stuff like that, you know. Lorenzo Granger said, I bet you're watching the Sailor Moon dub, DIC dub, or Viz dub. Sailor Moon, I will say watch Sailor Moon in the DIC, Nostalgic Memories. Yeah, I think it's the DIC because they changed her name to Serena. And I knew that was wrong. Like, I heard that. I was like, that don't even sound right. I know that ain't right. And that's when I looked it up and was like, okay, they Americanized her name. But that's we'll figure it out. You know, I'm sure as I watch the series, the names will eventually get corrected, and I'll be able to. But when I do the review or whatever, it's probably just going to be American names because that's the only version I have access to. Ricky Cornflake, my dog. How do you think Phoenix's title reign is going to go? Sucks to see Moxley hurt, but happy to see a luchador win gold. I think his title win is going to go similar to every other one. He's going to wrestle matches and win. And then he's eventually going to lose the title to somebody who is just going to have matches and win. It would be nice if they would try to do something different with Phoenix, you know, but they haven't. You haven't thought about that yet, you know. Like, how cool would it be if Phoenix almost exclusively wrestled other luchadors, leading to his brother turning on him? Because Penta is a fantastic heel. If you watched Lucha Underground, you know how tremendous he is as a heel. Just think that if that was the end of Phoenix's title run, was Penta just destroying him and using that little arm breaker on him or whatever, and on his own little brother. You know, to if you've seen Penta in like Mexico or Lucha Underground, you know that he is being underutilized in AEW. You know, all he does is Zero Miedo, chest people, slap people on the chest. That's all he does in AEW. But you see him in other places, man, he is, and maybe that's just, how he adapted. But when you watched him in other places, that Pentagon is something else. And he could take Phoenix to the next level. They work very well together. So I probably would, if I had the book, the final match would be Penta turning on Phoenix at a pay-per-view. And then the two of them feuding, with Penta being more and more violent, leading to Penta winning the belt from him. That's what I would do. But I ain't got the book. So I'm not. D-Mac, what motivated you to create a YouTube channel, and would you flip it into a podcast? As far as flipping it into a podcast goes, I considered it. I would have to upgrade my tech a little bit, probably get an actual computer. I don't have a computer in this house. So I'll probably have to get an actual computer in order to get to flip it into a podcast. So I'll consider that when the time comes. But I started a YouTube channel because I saw there was a market for it. I started getting frustrated with listening to other people, and you don't really get a chance to say how you feel on a subject. It's cool to hear how other people feel, but sometimes you have your own opinions. And I was like, I have different opinions than some people. I look at things a little bit differently than other people. Let's go for it. Plus I was thinking, I think the pandemic was just about to happen, so I was really sitting in the house. And I was just kind of like, let's go. Why not? And I jumped right in. It started out really as it was going to be political from the beginning. And then I was like, well, no, I just want to talk about wrestling. So I deleted all my political videos and just started doing wrestling because that's what I had more fun doing. I had more fun doing wrestling. So that was the idea. Was basically I just wanted to get my voice out there. JG, he has two questions. One, things you hate that wrestlers bring up during promos. Dreams. I'm so tired of hearing wrestlers talk about their dreams. Destiny is getting up there too. It's my dream. It's my destiny. It's my dream. It's my destiny. I'm so tired of both of that. Oh my God. The third one I'm really sick of. This is how I feed my family. This is how I feed my daughter. This is how I put food on my table. I'm just so sick of that, man. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of hearing about this is how you feed your family. I'm tired of hearing about your goddamn dreams. And I'm tired of hearing about your destiny, how you feel like this is your destiny. No. 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 It's cool if that's somebody's gimmick and they know how to work it. But most of the people who say that stuff, they're just saying it, and it don't seem to it don't feel real. I don't believe it. Like when somebody says like something is their destiny, you're supposed to believe it. Like when Drew McIntyre was like the child of destiny. You believed it because Vince put it out there that he believed that Drew McIntyre was going to be a future world champion. Okay. Vince believed it. Why wouldn't I believe it if Vince believes it? Right? So you think it's inevitable that he's going to get there. So you kind of low-key start getting invested in the story because you're like, okay, well, same thing with Austin Theory. Vince put Austin Theory on the track, and now everybody's kind of like, oh boy, he became this spoiled brat, getting more opportunities than everybody else. So let's see how it worked. Randy Orton, they put him on that track too. So it can work, the whole thing about it being your destiny. But you have to do something, or somebody else with some authority and with some power has to bolster that. Like when the authority was behind Seth Rollins, that added some credibility to his character. And all stories need to have some kind of some level of credibility to it. That's how characters really get over. You state something and then something somewhere backs it up. And that really works. All right, let's do a couple of more before we go into the live chat. Mr. VXG, who was your favorite character to play as in Def Jam Vendetta? DMX. I was always a DMX Method Man kind of guy. I don't remember. See, I like playing with Scarface too. But It was such a fun game. It was a fun game. I like playing as Ludacris too, even though I like beating up Ludacris a lot more. But I always like playing with people who I was already a fan of their music. So I wasn't really like a Fat Joe guy or anything like that. But since I was a huge fan of DMX and Method Man, I was playing with DMX and Method Man. You know, yeah, that game. I wonder why they stopped making those games. The first one was really good. The second one, the first one was really good. Uh, Them Studios. I got 4 questions, and then we're going to go into the live chat. 1. How many pay-per-views should a wrestling promotion, WWE or AEW, have per year? Well, they should have as many as the market will allow them to have, which I know is a vague answer. WWE can have 24 pay-per-views a year because I don't have to pay for any of them. So you can have as many as you want. You know, I don't have to pay for them. So the format becomes easier. If you are asking people to pay for them, though, you should probably have no more than 5. That's 1 per quarter. AEW is about to have their 6th or 7th. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not paying for them, so I don't care how many they have. But you should have as many as the market can take. You know, back when pay-per-views were initially pushed to 12, the price of the pay-per-views diminished. Like when they did In Your Houses, those pay-per-views are only like $20, $15, $20, and WrestleMania will be 40. And I think SummerSlam would also be 40. But other than that, the other pay-per-views were half off, and they were shorter events. WrestleMania would be 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and In Your House would be like an extra episode of Monday Night Raw. And that was pretty much it. And you couldn't complain because there's another pay-per-view. But, you know, and you got some premium stuff on it. But, and it wasn't that expensive. But now, if you're at AEW and you're charging $50 a pop, regardless of how well you built the brand, that's crazy. Like if you want to have $50 for something like the 4 events, you know, Double or Nothing, Full Gear, Revolution, and what's their 5th one? Their 4th one, I mean, whatever. And then you want to have those be, you know, regular price, and then have other pay-per-views and they're like half price. I'd have been fine with that. If you want to charge an upcharge for Wembley because that's a foreign event, and the costs related to it are higher, then, you know, it's a bigger event. I don't have a problem with that. But when you start adding all these other events, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know if the market can handle that. But I guess we'll see with the Wrestle Dream thing, right? I guess we'll see if the market can handle it. Because and part of it is also your timing. Because they had Wembley and All Out so close together, and Wrestle Dream was not too long after that, you really digging in the pockets of your fan base. You know, so people actually have started to complain that AEW is having too many pay-per-views, especially since they're too close together. You know, let people get a paycheck or two. You know, get some disposable income. People got bills and they have other hobbies. You know, take that into account. That's why the quarterly pay-per-views were working, I think. But I don't know. All right, let's go to you guys in the comment section. D-Max says he lucked up with All In, got it for 20 since he ordered it down in Jamaica. Yeah, you got over on that one. Do you think the expansion of pay-per-views guarantees a transition to stream? Oh yeah, it's a necessity because these events are expensive, and since AEW does not have a lot of sponsors, they're paying for this stuff out of pocket. So somebody's got to pay for this crap, you know. Like somebody's going to pay for it, and if they don't have a lot of sponsors to pay for it, either Warner Brothers Discovery is going to pay for it, or the audience is going to pay for it. And part of keeping the cost low for the consumer is to get sponsors or other people to pay for it. If they can't get sponsors and they can't get Warner Brothers to pay for it, the only people who can pay for it are the audience. You know, it's a necessity. I wouldn't be surprised if the cost of pay-per-views don't go up if they don't, stop, get a streaming deal. It's probably gonna end up going up. Top Dog, do you know where you can find the episode of John Cena appearing on 106 & Park in the mid 2000s? No, I only know what happened because I saw a Reddit thread on it, and WWE.com did a piece on it. There was no screenshot and there was no video. I have not seen a video of John Cena on 106 & Park. I've seen John Cena promote his rap album in pretty much everywhere except I know he was on 106 & Park. And I know he was there. And I've never seen the video of it. That's crazy. It's been scrubbed from the internet. Somebody's got to have it somewhere. I know there's some kind of super 106 & Park fan who's got it on a tape somewhere, and they probably have uploaded it. People have uploaded entire episodes of like BET Uncut. So I know for sure somebody's got 106 & Park episodes uploaded on BET or something. Does BET have an app where maybe you can go back and look at those episodes? Because that might be a good way to find out. Because I think I could figure out what episode he's on, like what the date was. But usually that's how people find old stuff is it gets uploaded to some kind of site, and then people will go and rip it and then throw it up on YouTube. But they haven't done that yet. Lorenzo Granger, I think it's unfair Triple H don't get no criticism for the stuff that he does. Vince McMahon always got to take the heat. That's totally unfair. Triple H deserves criticism for what he's doing in the company. Vince is going to be the Shield until he dies, man. And that's cool. A lot of people just anytime something happens, and I think mostly it's because people are not sure what Triple H's role actually is, even though they keep telling you what it is. We have never seen Triple H's vision, outside of NXT, for that short window of time. And so many people don't think that Triple H is into some of the same stuff that Vince is into. There's going to be some overlap there. That's what Triple H being the guy was all about. It was about there being enough of the overlap. And plus there's still a lot of the same creative people there, like Bruce and Michael Hayes and Kevin Dunn. There's, Michael Cole, all those people still there. So all of them, that little bit of overlap. So many people have not figured Triple H out yet. There are some people out there who are smart enough to have seen it and notice it. Other people are still trying to figure Triple H out. So anytime something crazy happens, they just want to blame it on Vince. Vince is rewriting the show again. Oh, okay. I don't care. I don't gotta do it. But they also don't understand that sometimes people don't like the show and they throw it out. Black Sand 97. What other animes are you going to check out when you finish Sailor Moon? I recommend Hellsing. I was considering Hellsing anyway, especially during October for Halloween. I was going to do Hellsing. I probably try to find another monster, vampire-like anime to do. Yeah, but Hellsing is definitely next on my list after Sailor Moon. Black Sand 97, 2 Hulk Hogan theme song, Real American or Voodoo Child. Well, Voodoo Child is a real song, but I grew up on Real American, so I'm gonna go with Real American. Absolutely Real American. 97, the Black Sand 97. What's your favorite sitcoms, and what sitcoms do you hate? Well, my favorite sitcoms are Sanford and Son, Good Times, Seinfeld, early days of The Simpsons. I was a big fan of King of the Hill, a big fan of Archer. I was a moderate fan of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I don't know the lore as much as everybody else do, because Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is one of those things that was on TV and I didn't have cable. So I watched it because I didn't have cable. Same thing with Family Matters. I didn't necessarily enjoy those shows, but I watched them because I didn't have cable. Shows that I hate. Oh man. Usually, if I hate a show, I'll probably watch like an episode or two and then watch it anymore. Um, Malcolm and Eddie, I didn't like that show. Couldn't stand it. Oh, I hate that show. All the little women's shows like the Parkers and because you got girlfriends who try to get you to watch like the Parkers or Moesha. You're like, look, this show is not for me. It's clearly not for you. So I don't even think it's fair to even throw those out as sitcoms that I hated. I hated Friends. I never thought Friends was funny. I just didn't think it was an entertaining show. I thought it sucked, if we be honest. Compared to like Seinfeld or Frasier, oh my God. It was not in the same class, not even in the same league as Frasier or Seinfeld. MASH, I hate MASH too. I really hate MASH. Oh God. I've seen more than enough of MASH. I don't like that. I'm pretty sure there's other sitcoms that I've seen that I don't like, but those are the ones that come off the top of my head. Most of them are going to be very old because I haven't watched any sitcoms recently in recent years outside of Archer. Banana the Bad Guy Williams. What do you think of the comments Tony Khan made regarding TV deal in 2024 saying he's willing to take less? I didn't see that, but I'm not surprised. I didn't see that. I'm not surprised. He's got to be realistic, you know. He's got a package deal though. Like he's running 3 shows on this network, on these networks now. It doesn't make sense for him to take less. He means he has to pay more out of pocket, So it wouldn't make sense for him to take less unless he doesn't think he can go anywhere else, or unless he can't. I don't know, but I would have to look at the context of the comment, and but I I'm legit laughing at that, saying he'll take less. That's silly. Rachel Buck, who do you see beating Seth Rollins for his championship? After seeing the reaction to this Japanese thing, I'm thinking Nakamura. I think Nakamura's going to win it. After everybody had a meltdown over this, and then they put out the posters. And look, they highlighted the Asian performers, of which Roman Reigns is one of them. Asian Pacific Islander. So he was on the poster. Akira Tozawa was on there. I'm like, what the hell? I think in reality, it's probably going to be Gunther, which means he's probably going to be champion for a little while longer. But I would consider Drew McIntyre or Damian Priest. Preferably Drew McIntyre. Preferably. But you want Seth Rollins to be as strong as possible before he loses the belt. So maybe he feuds with Drew McIntyre and he wins. The problem I have is that I'm thinking that you don't want to burst a bubble with Seth Rollins. You don't want to turn somebody heel and they get so hot that people want them to win, and then Seth still wins, and then you kill the character, because that's it. Once that's like that's killing the territory. You burnt the audience too many times, and that happened with Seth when he beat the Fiend. Everybody was fine with Seth. It was kind of waffling a little bit when he beat the Fiend. They was like, no, we're done. We're finished here. Okay, we don't want to see this guy anymore. It's over. You don't want to do that again. So you don't want to get somebody that's so hot that Seth can't beat them. And then you certainly don't want to get a bunch of mid-carders who Seth easily beats and is boring. So I think you probably need to put the belt on Gunther as quickly as possible, which means either he needs to be a double champion or he needs to hurry up and lose that Intercontinental title, one or the other. But he feels like the big boss of the show. And so he probably needs to have the big belt. Trying to save it for WrestleMania, I don't know if they're going to make it. I really don't, because I don't know who Seth can feud with from October to through January, because the Rumble will carry you for a little bit, and maybe they'll get away with that Judgment Day stuff for a little while longer. But I don't see Seth Rollins holding that belt to WrestleMania. That'd be a miracle if he can manage to do that. It'd be a miracle. Let's see. Top Dog. Why don't Stone Cold get heat from people for not putting over new guys like Hogan, Cena, and Triple H do? That's a good question, too. And we talked about that in the Discord server. And I think that the fact that Steve Austin gets away with not only beating people he shouldn't beat, like when he beat Kane, which is it's like a slap in the face. Undertaker's tombstone this fucking guy 3 times. Barely beat him. Austin hit 1 stunner and beat him. Come on, man. Austin fought Undertaker and Kane in a triple threat match, and either one of them, they had to work together to beat him. Talk about Superman. Like, are you kidding me? And that's one of the reasons why I kind of get pissy at the Attitude Era, because all the stuff you guys complain about, Austin was doing that stuff too. Austin was so bad that he was handpicking his opponents. This was a guy who refused to work with Jeff Jarrett, even though the company wanted him to work with Jeff Jarrett. He refused to work with Mark Merrow, even though the company wanted him to work with Mark Merrow. It's like, sheesh. Could you imagine if Cena was like, I'm not working with this guy? You know, as far as I know, Cena has never done that. I mean, he's, stabbed people in the back and buried them, sure. But I would not refuse to work with anybody. I don't know, man. Austin was doing that shit all the time, bro. That he had to drop the belt to Foley because he didn't want to lose the belt to Triple H. Like, that's crazy to me. He got away with all that stuff. Nobody says anything about any of that stuff. And they just kind of shrug and it's like, well, it's Stone Cold. I'm like, well, shit, Hogan did the same thing, right? Hogan refused to work with Jake the Snake Roberts because Jake the Snake Roberts was trying to get over on him. Nah, I can't be mad at that. When you're the top guy, it's not your job to make anybody else. It's not your job. Your job is to draw the money. Other people, the B stars, make other people. It was never Stone Cold Steve Austin's job to make somebody. It was never Hulk Hogan's job to make somebody. You get made by being in the ring with them. And if you win, then you were good, but you were really good if you beat them, because nobody ever beat these fucking guys. But Steve Austin was handpicking his opponents, and it was crazy. And I'm not even mad at him for doing it, because it's not like we missed out on anything. Vince wanted him to work with Mark Merrow. He worked with Mark Merrow before he was a champion. What the hell is going to get out of Mark Merrow now that he couldn't get out of him before? So, it doesn't matter. What's your favorite Hulk Hogan lies? Oh my God. The one about Metallica is great. My favorite, none of so much, Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch dick, but Terry Bollea does not. That's my favorite right there. When he sat in front of God, the court, and everybody and got away with that shit. Could you imagine saying some silly shit like that in court? And people laughed at him, but he won that case. He won that case. People laughed at him though. Rachel Buck, did you hear Shawn Michaels wants CM Punk on NXT? And if CM Punk comes to WWE, do you think he should be on NXT? Well, he didn't put it that way. He was asked if he would welcome CM Punk back, and he said, yeah, because he's got star power and all that kind of stuff. But he would expect that CM Punk would want to go back to the main roster. I don't think they would coexist, if we're being honest. I just don't see them coexisting. I don't think it'll work. I don't know. Unless Shawn is really, really, really mellow, I'm talking super mellow. Yeah, I don't see CM Punk working out too much longer. CM Punk getting his own show on NXT probably would be great, in terms of creative. If he's going to be like the creative guy there and he's going to help Shawn build these new stars, that could be excellent. That could be fantastic. He doesn't have to work with anybody who he's got heat with. He gets to create his own little cult again, like he did on Collision, He gets to create a cult of guys who like him, much like Paul Heyman did. He gets to get in there on the ground floor and mold some of the female talent and some of the guys too. The problem is, okay, once he does that, what happens when they go to Raw or SmackDown? It's going to be similar to what's going on Collision right now with CM Punk not being there. That's what happened with Paul Heyman. Would get into OVW or ECW or whatever, and he would start getting into these kids' heads. Then they go somewhere else, and it ain't the same thing. That would be the thing I would think of. But if he wanted to put him down there plus he's gonna work with Road Dogg. Is Road Dogg still in NXT? Because I don't think that's gonna work. That definitely ain't gonna work. Rachel Buck has another one. Do you see Cody Rhodes' brother showing up at WrestleMania next year and either helping him win the title or just being in the audience like his mother was? I think that would be great. If Goldust could be there in any capacity when he finally gets the big one, that would be great. You know, if they could have that moment in the ring, that could be fantastic. I really want him to put Goldust in the Hall of Fame. You know, I don't know what the contract status is for Dustin, but Cody putting his brother into the Hall of Fame and then winning the title with his brother in attendance at WrestleMania, that would be great. That would be great. That would be legit. That would be awesome. Rachel Buck has another question. Do you see Randy Orton returning at Fastlane? If he does he turn heel and attack John Cena or Drew McIntyre? I have seen pictures and videos of Randy Orton popping up at the Performance Center. They stooged him off, so we know that he's starting to get back in shape. I think if you have Randy back, I'm going to say he should not wrestle Drew McIntyre or John Cena. He should wrestle Roman Reigns. If Randy Orton can have a match, it should be with Roman Reigns. Why wouldn't? He's one of the only top guys Roman has not wrestled since he became the tribal chief. And he can have a decent feud with Randy Orton, you know, to carry us throughout the fall. You know, they could have the Saudi match and maybe the Rumble match, and then that's it. That's all you really need. So I would do Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, personally. That's just me. Rachel Buck, do you see any returns happening at Fastlane, or do you see any debuts at Fastlane? And who do you see returning at Fastlane or any debut? No, Triple H has. I don't think so. Who would debut? The only debut could possibly be Jade because they announced her. Why would you return Randy Orton at a B show? To do what exactly? That would be my question. I mean, I guess you could put him in a tag team with John Cena, right? You could have Cena and Orton as a tag team, but no, that spot's for LA Knight. So I don't know. Like, you could always have Randy on Raw or something like that. Somebody like Carlito or something like that. I don't know. I don't think Fastlane is the brand that you want to dump all your debuts and stuff on. I'm just not sure it's going to be that way. Who do you see Cody facing at Fastlane? Well, that's a good question right there. Because Cody is actually, at the moment, he's got nothing going for him. I know that he has gotten into it with Omos, and him and Omos are having a thing at house shows. I don't think too much of that, if we're being honest. I don't think too much of it. All right, let's get back into the community tab. Oh, brother. Them Studios has 4 more questions. Wait. Oh, wait a minute. I wasn't done reading all of his questions when I jumped into the comment section. 2, do you think the Bloodline story ends with Roman Reigns turning babyface? No. It ends with Roman Reigns being thwarted, clean in the middle of the ring, losing everything that he's worked for over the last 3 years, and then maybe he sulks and ends up turning babyface later on. But no, he has to be the dragon. He's the monster. That's the path that he's chosen. He's got to get killed at the end. 3, do you think is the bigger star Rey Mysterio or Eddie Guerrero? Oh my God. Oh, well, Eddie dying certainly helped. I can say that. So I'm going to go with Eddie because Eddie passed away. But there's no doubt that Rey Mysterio is a huge star. He's huge. All right. And there is just no doubt about it. If Eddie was still alive, I'm not sure if Ray still would have been a big star because Ray was still a big star at the time. And regardless of what people say, Eddie was going to drag Ray to the main event. It was going to happen. He spent all of 2005 doing that. So there was no doubt in my mind Ray was going to be world champion anyway. So the question then becomes, if Eddie was still alive, would Ray have gotten to the heights that he did? Yes, I think he would have gotten there anyway. Would he have been able to stay? Would have been the question. And that's where I'll probably say probably not. You know, I think they would have been back and forth, but I definitely think that Eddie's a bigger star, and him dying helps. So it's hard to say, but you also have the issue with Eddie Ray when he lost his mask and he put his mask back on. So like he got away with that. Usually you're not supposed to do that, but he got away with it. So he's a pretty big star. 4, who is a wrestler in the last 10 years that you weren't a fan of at first, but became a fan of them later on? The Miz. The Miz is certainly one of them. I hated The Miz. God, when The Miz was the champion, I was miserable, bro. Wow. I was miserable when The Miz was the champion. I didn't really appreciate him. I was just like everybody else. And that was the thing that I can sit back and laugh at myself because I hated John Cena when everybody else hated John Cena. I hated The Miz when everybody hated The Miz. And then over time, my brain started looking at analyzing these things a little bit differently. And I was like, wait a minute. This guy's not that bad, like he's actually entertaining. He's actually funny. He's actually fun. He's actually professional. Look at all these different things that, these skill sets that he's got, but you do kind of have wrestle brain, where he's not a great wrestler. You have that attitude. But I'm glad I got out of that because I like The Miz now. Who else? Who was somebody else I didn't like at first? Power and Glory. I hated them at first as a kid. I didn't like them. I didn't really appreciate them. They weren't doing much of anything for me. And then when you go back and watch them now, you're like, damn, these guys were actually not bad. For an underneath tag team, yeah, they were pretty fucking good. Actually, So, yeah, I like those guys. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Who else do I kind of grow into? I'm thinking of somebody from WCW. Because ECW, it wasn't many. A lot of people that I hated at the moment in ECW, I still can't stand now. WCW is pretty much the same, but sometimes you do grow into performers because you don't appreciate your style. Like Bobby Eaton is one of the guys. Like I saw somebody on Twitter say that Bobby Eaton was incredibly boring, and I can see why you would say that because he wasn't a big personality, and he is absolutely not the kind of guy that you would just sit around and say is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time or whatever. But if you actually know what to look for, and you can actually analyze his work from a different perspective, you'll realize why so many people liked him. You also will understand why he's a mid-carder, and a low mid-carder at that without a tag team partner. But you appreciate his work a lot more when you get older. But Bobby Eaton, oh boy, I couldn't stand him either. Yeah, man, I used to dread watching WCW to see that guy. Koshanerd, has 4 questions. 1, what is your top 5 WWE theme songs of all time? Oh, that's a good question. Undertaker's theme, the original theme, not the original one, the second one. The 96 through 2000 theme. No, 96 through 98 theme. The Lord of Darkness thing was okay too, but I like the classic Purple Gloves Undertaker thing. Always a big fan of Bret the Hitman Hart's theme. Always a big fan of Macho Man Randy Savage, Nature Boy Ric Flair. If you want to talk about like theme songs with lyrics, Batista, Benoit. I always like Christian's theme too. I like Edge's theme. Clearly his theme was great. But you said 5, so I've said more than 5. But Batista's is on the list. Batista's theme song is tremendous, especially when you add the lyrics to it with the energy and everything. Oh, Batista's theme song is crazy. It might be one of the GOATs, like in terms of just theme music. Oh, Batista's theme song might be one of the GOATs. You know, I was a big fan of Batista when that theme song kicked in and I walk alone. You like hell yeah, you know man WrestleMania 23. If I wasn't such a big Undertaker fan, I'd have been Batista all day. But because I was in that building rocking, I walk alone, bro. This is nuts. Second, which is better, Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry? Tell you a secret, not a Tom and Jerry guy. I like Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, great stuff. Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, I can watch that shit all day. You know, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner is such a phenomenal pairing. It has no dialogue in it. Like there's no talking. Neither one of these characters talk really. So you're watching the machinations of the coyote and how they're gonna fall apart. And tune magic, where the Roadrunner can run through holes drawn on the wall and all this nonsense. I love Looney Tunes, bro. I love Looney Tunes. I grew up. I watch Looney Tunes. It's sometimes in my spare time. You just watch Looney Tunes. I never got into Tom and Jerry. I was never, just never. It just never stuck with me. Some of those old classic cartoons, I just never got into. Rocky and Bullwinkle, I just never got into it. But I love Looney Tunes. I've always been a big fan of Looney Tunes for sure. Let's see. Have you ever seen King of the Hill? Absolutely. One of my favorite shows of all time. Back when I was staying up too late eating potato chips and, playing video games, whenever I need to take a break from playing Resident Evil for 6 hours or something like that, I would watch King of the Hill at like midnight on Fox. It was probably midnight, 12:30 in the morning. I always stop just long enough to watch that episode and then go back to playing. I loved King of the Hill. I never watched it in this time slot. I always watched the reruns. I never watched it as it was coming on. 4, if Randy Orton returns, what storyline or feud would you put him in, and would you keep him heel or face during his return? Well, I think I already gave this answer away. I would put him in the feud with Roman Reigns. Mainly because that's money. Roman and Randy is money. And Randy doesn't need to win, but he's credible enough and believable enough that you could put Roman in peril. And I think you could bring the Cody storyline in with Randy being taken out, and then have Randy give Cody the big inspirational, big mentor speech where, everybody knows the relationship between those two. And then Randy says, I couldn't do it, so you got to do it. And then Cody does it, and then catches an RKO on Monday. That's how I would do it, personally. I would have Randy wrestle Roman Reigns 2 or 3 times. Still have Solo or Jimmy or whatever get in the way and cost him the match. Randy gets the big match at the Rumble. He comes short. He loses. Next night on Raw or the same night or whatever, he tells Cody, it's got to be you. This is what I spent my, all these years grooming you for. You're ready for this. I got your back. I'm not going to let what happened to me happen to you. And he stayed there. And as soon as Cody wins the belt, give him maybe 2 or 3 weeks to celebrate, RKO. And then we off to the races with heel Randy versus Cody Rhodes. That's how I would do it. Mr. VXG, I refuse to give up on the Hurt Business. When Shelton Benjamin getting fired, man, I had to admit I can't hold the torch anymore. My arms got tired. If you were in charge, who would be in your version of the Hurt Business, and how would you book them? I like the original version. I see the vision of what the original version was supposed to be. It was another past, present, and future situation where Cedric Alexander, the speedy guy, the high flying guy, the youngest guy in the group, he was going to be the guy going forward, hopefully. And Shelton Benjamin is sort of the past, along with MVP. But MVP was more in his Ric Flair role. And then you had Lashley, who was the top guy at this time, the dominant champion. I like that. I don't see why you would change it up. The only thing you might change is maybe Shelton because he was older. And maybe to somebody who could talk. But I liked them. Sheldon as the enforcer, and I like that group. Oh, oh, but the Wheat Tears for the Hurt Business. I can't believe it. I wouldn't do anything more. I just would book them better. You know how we didn't have the Hurt Business and the Bloodline fighting. It's crazy to me. Like, how did we not get there? Like, after they tore apart Retribution, everybody wanted to see them fight the Bloodline, and we never got there. The Bloodline and the Hurt Business could have been the modern day Wyatt and Shield. Like, you remember how it felt when the Wyatt family and the Shield were finally about to go at it? I'd never been so amped for 6-man tags before in my life. That could have been what this was. Roman and the Usos against Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. Oh, that could have been so good. But shit kicking WWE. Racist WWE. It's, God damn it. Ugh. Next, Johnny 305 Johnny. 1. Can you rate best to worst 25 hip hop album did you listen to from 1990 to 2000? I can't give you 25. I've heard pretty much every rap album in that year. And I'm not even going to hold you up. There was a time where I was listening to like random 90s rap from like Dilated Peoples and X-Clan. I know X-Clan was in like the late 80s. But also like from Digging in the Crates. I was listening to all kinds of shit. So I cannot give you 25. That's just forget it. All right. I listened to so many rap albums from the 90s. I literally could not pick 25. I can tell you that each era, you take, those couple of year blocks, starting at 1990 to 2000, some of the best rap albums I ever heard were from New York because it was so diverse. It comes across, some of it was a lot alike, kind of gritty, grimy New York street rap. But then you also had, in the early 90s, De La Soul, Leaders of the New School, and my favorite, A Tribe Called Quest. So when they were out, A Tribe Called Quest was the shit. The first 3 albums of Tribe Called Quest, up to Midnight Marauders, fantastic. You can listen to either one of those today. Now, you have to be a boom bap fan, kind of a jazz fusion hip hop fan, to really enjoy it. Now, when it started getting a little on the rougher edge in the late 90s, the boots and jeans, MOP style, Onyx, I didn't really feel none of that stuff. I like sort of the, I didn't like Onyx at all, by the way, or MOP. But I liked, like, Rough Riders. I liked DMX. I liked the Locks. I liked a little bit of Mobb Deep. I liked the first, not Juvenile Hill, which was their first album. So I guess technically their second album, third album, and do I like that other one? Not really. So I liked mostly New York-based rap. I'm a huge fan of Nas, huge fan of Jay-Z. I grew into Busta Rhymes. It took some time to get there. But like in the late 90s, the Hot Boys were my shit. Juvenile, BG, Lil Wayne. I was on the fence about the Big Timers. I loved Manny Fresh's production. I was very biased, like sort of against the West Coast, because I grew up with like Ice Cube. I was always a big fan of Ice Cube, but Tupac, not really. Snoop, not really. Dre, I hated Dr. Dre. I like his production, but I didn't like Dr. Dre. I grew into DJ Quick. I didn't like the Dog Pound at all. So I'm kind of biased against the West Coast. I was the kind of dude that the Murder Dog magazine was very mad at. Like, I used to get the Murder Dog magazines, and they'd be very mad at people who were big fans of like the West Coast, and I'd be like, they're talking directly to me, But I grew into a lot of my appreciation for the West Coast, especially like West Side Connection, which I didn't listen to as a kid. I listened to it as an adult, so I grew into that. I was never a big fan of WC or Dub C. as people call them. I was a big fan of NWA, but that was in the 80s. 90s West Coast rap, I was not really into. Never really a big fan of E40. Uh, the Loonies had one song that of course everybody liked. Uh, and I wasn't really a huge fan of Outkast either. It took some time for me to grow into Outkast and UGK. So I would definitely say AT Aliens is on that list. If I was to have 25, AT Aliens would definitely be on that list. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music will also be on that list. Um, oh, what was the name of the UGK album that had Diamonds and Wood on it? It had One Day You Hear. What was that album called? Riding Dirty? No, not Riding Dirty. What was it called? Oh, I forget what it was called. But that album, that UGK album. Scarface, was kind of a fan of Scarface. Untouchable would be on there for sure. Bone Thugs and Harmony, my favorite rap group of all time. East 99 Eternal, The Art of War, Busy Bone solo album, Heaven's Movie. Big fan of all of that stuff. I can't give you like straight up 25 though. I'd be here forever. I have to have my brain would have to be a filing cabinet in order to be able to do that. Two, what WWE new generation wrestler did you feel wasted potential? Owen Hart, absolutely. Owen Hart and British Bulldog, they always felt like they were right there. And I say Owen Hart mainly because Owen Hart didn't win the Intercontinental title until I think after his peak years. I think Owen was peak Owen, 94 to 96. I think he won the title in 97. And he never won the world title at all. If Owen would have won the Intercontinental title after losing to Brett, that would have been a great consolation prize and would have kept him going. Instead, they put him in that tag team with Yokozuna. I was like, God, damn. Like he was right there. He was right there. He'd have been a great heel to have the Intercontinental Championship at that point in time. Who would have been the champion at that time? Razor, I think. And then they gave it to Jeff Jarrett. I would have given it to Owen rather than Jeff Jarrett. Yeah, Owen over Jeff. Yeah, absolutely. I don't hate Jeff Jarrett. It's just that I think Owen had more heat. You know, I'd have put Jarrett in the fucking tag team. He already had a partner with the Roadie. But made them tag team champions. I let Owen be the singles champion. What do you do with Yoko at that point? I don't know. He's fat, so he's sent to the clinic so he can gain more weight, I guess. But I don't know. Owen Hart is like number one because when you go back through the New Generation era, he's one of the top heels, but he never won anything. He was only a tag team champion, and he lost all of the major feuds he was a part of. And he had the least credibility, but he had a ton of heat. Also, Ahmed Johnson, I think, never really got to the point that the company wanted him to. There's no doubt in my mind that Vince would have put the belt on Ahmed Johnson. There's no doubt in my mind he would have done it. I just felt like he fell apart at the end. He was very Black Ultimate Warrior-ish, except for he didn't have the I think he lied about how old he was, and he lied about some injuries that he had, and a bunch of other stuff that was going on. It just wasn't going to work out. I think Mark Merrow also didn't live up to his full potential. I didn't hate Mark Merrow as much as everybody else did. In fact, I was a Mark Merrow booster when he first came in because I didn't know he was Johnny B. Bad. I didn't know. Shit, I didn't care. I saw him doing stuff that other people wasn't doing. Then they tried to make him Macho Man with the glittery robe, and Sable was like this newfangled Elizabeth. I bought into it. I was like, okay, it's kind of Macho Man-y, but all right, I'll take it. He's doing shooting star presses. Nobody else doing that shit. He's doing moonsaults and stuff. Okay, cool. But him winning the Intercontinental title was great, but his run was shit because I don't remember him doing anything other than losing it. So it didn't mean anything. He won it in a tournament, and then he lost it as soon as somebody got some heat to take it from him, which was Triple H. And then Triple H's push got killed because Mr. Perfect left. So there that goes. But I gave you a couple of guys I think in the new generation era that probably could have been bigger than they really were. 3. What's your thoughts on Joe Louis, American Hero, betrayal documentary, and how it told the differences between the era of racism and the new generation of racism? Well, I have seen this documentary, and it's tremendous. It's very good. I want to know what you mean by the new generation of racism, because the racism of Joe Louis's era is well documented. Segregated military, black people couldn't fight for the world titles, which anybody who studied even boxing a little bit would know that. After Jack Johnson pissed off all the white people, they wasn't giving another Negro a chance at all at that point, not to be the heavyweight champion of the world. You can forget it. How they were so disappointed because he lost to Max Schmeling. Oh, that was embarrassing. But Joe Louis was the kind of guy who he was a hero to everybody, And then he did what happened to him is he got old. Shit, everybody gets old. He wasn't the champion anymore, and the old fashioned racism just caught up to him again. The stuff that when he was a hero, he could get around was the stuff he was falling into. Now, I always think it's an important conversation to have when you talk about the big black world champions, heavyweight champions of that era, from Jack Johnson to Joe Louis to Muhammad Ali. All 3 of them faced racism, but Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis, they persevered through racism, and they ended up becoming heroes. Muhammad Ali died a hero, and Joe Louis died fucking penniless. He lived like the early part of his career as a hero, but he died a penniless sort of bum. Like, especially when you talk about the way they talked about him wrestling, like his pro wrestling career, how he was humiliated. It's like Jack Johnson went on like a dance and review kind of thing. Like he was shucking and jiving and stuff at the end of his life. What is this? A lot of people did a lot of things that were far more embarrassing than pro wrestling, but they act like Joe Louis had gotten into porn or something like that. It was crazy. But the racism was always there. The racism of Joe Louis and Jack Johnson, Jay, was that the white man didn't want to fight you. And Muhammad Ali, they had gotten over that. They had gotten over the fact that white people and black people fought against each other. They had gotten past that part. Now they were just picking and choosing what kind of black people that they actually liked. And they wanted black people that were more like Joe Louis, not ones that were like Jack Johnson or like Muhammad Ali. So that's a sign of racial progress, I think. And there was several years in between the 2 of them. And of course, Muhammad Ali and how he talked shit about guys like Joe Louis. But he was a kid when he was doing all that stuff, man. He was like 20, 21, 22 or some shit. You gotta take that as water under the bridge. 4. What is your most unpopular moment in wrestling history, in your opinion? The most unpopular moment? Maybe The Fiend losing to Seth Rollins. I don't know anybody who even made any excuse of how that was a good idea. Usually when something happens and it's stupid, at least you could try to see where the mind state comes from. When Seth Rollins beat The Fiend because the referee stopped the match, everybody was like, collectively, that's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen. It was a Hell in a Cell match. How do you stop it? Even when Lex Luger won by disqualification, by count out, people can at least be like, all right, they threw this parade because Lex won. He didn't win the title, but he won. That's more than anybody had done over Yokozuna at that point. So they were celebrating the fact that he won. And babyfaces typically did celebrate if they won by disqualification or something like that. Now they wouldn't have dropped streamers and had fireworks and everything after after a count out win, but that was a bit extra. But babyfaces supporting, winning their match by disqualification or count out, that's typical, you know? So there's always stupid things that happen in wrestling where you can come up with an excuse for it. But the singular most unpopular thing, oh my God, it's got to be Seth Rollins and The Fiend. I couldn't find anybody that even looked at that and said it's okay or it's not that bad. I was like, damn, that's stupid. 5. What Marvel characters do you feel Stan Lee had no business writing? Uh, hmm. I don't. I don't know. Like, I think the characters that he helped to create, he added enough of them to the point where when other people took over, it was markedly different. I'm trying to think of maybe some of the later books that he was writing on that he probably didn't have any. Like when he wrote Batman. I don't Marvel characters. I don't know because he usually had like a good handle on the Marvel universe. But I think they did something called if Stan Lee had written Batman, and I was like, oh no, 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 that's not good. But you could tell that Stan was an idea guy. He left the details to the artist, but he came up with a lot of the general ideas. And even though I know that people are like, oh, Stan didn't create anything, he stole other people's ideas and all this kind of stuff. It's like he didn't commit much to paper, you know. And they talked about the process 100 fucking times. That they would talk to these guys over the phone or whatever. They bounced the plot between the two of them. The artist would go write the shit and then, or go start drawing the art, and then Stan would put in the word bubbles and stuff like that. And people were like, oh, well, the artist wrote it. It's like, well, the artist probably did what Stan told him to do, but he didn't send him a script. They talked about it, about what the plot would be. And then sometimes the artist would go about doing his own thing, which is usually Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko. They would do their own thing. And then Stan would try to, but that became the problem, right? First, Stan never did anything. He just stole everybody's ideas. And then you would get Stan edited the hell out of my piece and changed the entire meaning of this of this scene, or he changed the entire meaning of this. He kept sending the art back because he didn't want this, he didn't want that. He's like, look, either he wrote it or he didn't. All right. The idea that he never did anything is always what kind of threw me for a loop. And usually, if you're a super fan of like Ditko or Kirby, you think that Stan Lee never did anything in his life. But it's pretty damn clear if you read characters that were written by Jack Kirby with no Stan Lee, those characters did not become as popular as the characters that he created with Stan Lee. Same thing with Steve Ditko. So I don't know. Same thing with Daredevil. The guy who created the co-creator of Daredevil also said the same thing. Oh, he just stole my idea, yada yada yada. And he was like, okay, well, what did you create that ended up being as successful as Daredevil? Nothing. So clearly Stan Lee did something. So I can't think of one character that I saw. I don't necessarily like his Daredevil, because I like what Frank Miller did with Daredevil, and because Stan Lee tried to recreate Spider-Man. So if I had to have one character that I would be like, oh, Stan, I don't know, it'd be Daredevil, his version of Daredevil, because I was like, you already got Spider-Man. We don't need Daredevil to be blind Spider-Man. Like, do we really need that? 6. What independent comic books do you regret reading? Oh, do you regret recommending? Oh, I don't think there's ever been a independent comic book that I have recommended that I regret recommending. No, there isn't one. Nope, there's not one. I can't think of one. Usually, if I bought it, if I really didn't like it, I probably never even mentioned it on this channel before. If that's being honest, because I probably have something over there on that spin rack that I have read and never mentioned it. Probably because I didn't like it. Seven, do you feel independent wrestling is starting to lose its important ideology? With all Elite Wrestling now a secondary wrestling company, will independent wrestling still matter? Yes, because independent wrestling is still the bulk of the business. WWE carries the business financially, but the bulk of the business is all the weekend warriors and people who do shows on random Thursday nights. That's still the vast majority of the business. And they still matter because they find talents that then go on to AEW or WWE. And there are places for talent who have already kind of, I don't want to say the word washed up, but they're washed up to go and make money and get attention. I mean, Matt Cardona is the king of washed up indies. I mean, he's making a lot of money, no doubt. But Matt Cardona performs in like fields of green. It's just nothing but like wheat fields, and Matt Cardona's wrestling whatever guy is out there. And you just be like, what the fuck is he doing? But at the same time, you're like, well, there's an audience, I guess. Like that's the bulk of the business. It still matters, and he's spreading the knowledge that he learned in WWE and helping, younger guys that he bumps into. He's tutoring Steph DeLander, who was Persia Parada in NXT. So there's still a lot of use for the indies. People still have a soft spot for the indies. The problem is there's no damn profit motive. I don't think anybody is making a profit at this point. Which kind of made me laugh when Brett Lauderdale was making fun of Al Snow for losing money. I'm like, well, at least Matt Jones is willing to admit that they're losing money. How many wrestling promoters out there are losing money they will never admit it? So, I mean, it is what it is. I would guess most wrestling promotions are probably underwater, if we're being honest. 8, Denzel Washington or Samuel Jackson. Which roles, if reversed, could you see any of those two playing? Name 10 roles Denzel Washington was cast as Sam could do, and 10 roles Sam was cast where Denzel could do it. Oh, well, I think Denzel is a better actor, so I think pretty much most of the drama roles that Samuel L. Jackson did, Denzel could have knocked it out of the park. If Denzel would have done Remember the Champ, it would have been better. If Denzel would have done what's the movie with the racism, the racist cop? He won whoa. Sam Jackson was the racist cop. What movie is that? He would have been better. I don't remember what it's called. Changing Lanes would have been better if it was Denzel Washington. It wasn't a bad movie. It would have been better if it was Denzel Washington. What movie would have been better? What other Sam Jackson movie would have been better if it was Denzel Washington? The Cleaner probably would have been better if it was Denzel Washington. But then again, he was very good in that. He's pretty good in that. I would have liked to see Denzel in 187, which is probably one of my favorite Samuel L. Jackson movies. I would have loved to see Denzel in that. Likewise, Sam Jackson would have absolutely shut down Training Day. He would have killed that joint. Sam Jackson and oh brother, with that dialogue, Sam Jackson would have killed Judgment Day. I mean, Judgment Day. He'd have killed Training Day. He'd have been great in that. I think Sam Jackson would have done a great job in it's hard because Denzel is he's got so much range. Because I want to say he might have been better than Denzel in American Gangster. But at the same time, I'm like, no, he probably wouldn't have been, So I don't think so. I could think of a lot of, and I think I did think of a lot of roles that Denzel could have done better than Sam Jackson. I'm having a hard time thinking of a Sam Jackson could have done better than Denzel. Maybe in some of the comedic roles that Denzel tried to do. Like Two Guns, he probably would have done better than that. Maybe Man on Fire, maybe. Uh, that wasn't a comedy role. That was a dramatic action movie, but maybe I don't know. But then Sam Jackson never really was an action star, so I can't say that he would have done like Book of Eli better or he would have done The Equalizer better. I don't think so. And I certainly don't think he would have done any of the dramatic roles better than Denzel. So, uh, I'm pretty sure I can come up with some more if I put some thought into it. But Denzel is the GOAT. So let's go what you guys are talking about in the comment section because I forgot about the comment section over here. The Django Unchained. Do you think that you think Denzel would have been better in Django Unchained? I think that movie, that role felt like it was perfect for Sam Jackson. You know, I don't know. Certain roles, I don't think Denzel would have even done that role if we're being honest. Uh, Man on Fire, yeah, I can see Sam Jackson doing Man on Fire. I can see him being good in that too. Uh, maybe in Flight, maybe Flight, maybe Denzel. Denzel was good in Flight. Maybe Sam Jackson would have been just as good, if not better. Uh, JS says, I'm surprised Samuel L. Jackson won an Oscar or whatever award that was about a year or two ago. I wouldn't be surprised if he got it. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I don't pay attention to like how many people win Oscars because people never win Oscars for the right fucking shit anyway. They win Oscars like Lifetime Achievement Awards. Like when Denzel didn't get it for Malcolm X, I think he stopped caring about Oscars. I think it was just kind of like, what? Nah, I don't care no more. And then they gave it to him for something else. But yeah, I think people can definitely see Sam Jackson in Training Day. I think that one was easy, you know, because Sam Jackson, when he being mad niggerish in movies anyway, like if the Sam Jackson that showed up in Pulp Fiction, if he'd have showed up in Training Day, that movie would have been 10 times better. I swear to God, that movie would have been 10 times better. Um, Top Dog, do you think Anti-Heroes has ruined both heroes and villains in entertainment? Uh, no, because if you're an anti-hero, there still had to be a villain at the very least. I think it has devalued heroism for sure because it's changed what the definition of it is. Now people believe that you could be a terrible person, but as long as somebody is worse, then you're not the bad guy. That's where we end up with Captain Marvel. You know, she has these superpowers, but she's a bully. But as long as she beats up other bad guys, well, people who are worse, then it's okay. You know, like no, she's up here crushing people's hands because she don't like what they say. That's stupid. Korshan Ard, the worst WWE storyline that it's so bad it's good. Oh, the battle for Dominic. That's a terrible storyline, but I love it. I love it so much. It's literally fantastic. When who's your poppy? That's one of my favorite wrestling storylines. I will defend it to the death. I don't care how. Oh, it's so stupid. Nobody really believe. I don't care. It's soap opera. I loved it. It's a great storyline. They were about to have a ladder match for adoption papers. Like, bro, do you not understand how fucking loony that is? That is classic mid 90s WWF. I love that shit. All right? I loved it. I loved every second of that Who's Your Poppy storyline. It was fantastic. A masterpiece, a master class of showing the range of everybody involved. It was great. From Eddie being pissed at Vicky for being late in the ladder match, a whole 9 yards. I love that whole thing, even the botches. I loved it all. Juicy Pablo, Cody literally talked Dustin into leaving WWE for AEW just for Cody to leave AEW. Right. And now he's going to have to talk him into coming back again. G Coalition brother, worst WWE champion has to be Jinder Mahal. He would have been better off as a mouthpiece and sidekick to Shinsuke Nakamura. No. Nakamura doesn't need that. Look, I didn't hate Jinder Mahal. It was an experiment. Usually they don't experiment with the WWE title. I think that's what pissed everybody off. Usually that's like they do something like that with the World Heavyweight title or something like that. They'll put it on somebody like a Jack Swagger or a Great Khali, and then people be like, ooh, at least it ain't the big belt. But then when it's the big belt, people are like, oh, hell no. And that's what happened. He got caught up where the only belt that he could win was the WWE title. And it was an experiment. And they don't experiment often, so I don't really get too pissy about it. But yeah, he's probably the worst. He's probably the worst, And it just match quality promos. None of it was up to par. But I didn't hate Jinder Mahal. I think that he just didn't get enough support. They even put him in the ring with top flight guys. He's in there with Randy Orton and Cena and shit. And then when Brock said no, then well, that was it. That was it for him. They never even went back to it either. Usually, if something like that would have happened, they'd have had him drop the belt, and then they would have did the AJ Styles Brock match, and then they would have had him win it back. But no, they didn't even do that. So, there it is. Who is more popular, Batman, Superman, or Spider-Man? Well, if you go by merchandise sold, it's Spider-Man. He sells more merchandise than Superman or Batman. I think Batman is more recognizable, but I think Spider-Man is more popular. G Coalition Brother says X-Pac was at a WWE watch-along for that pay-per-view, and he immediately ranted that it was BS watching a Hell in a Cell and stopping away a DQ. I don't think he's been invited back since. Yes. How could you watch that? How could you see that and then think that was good? That was my question. How do you come to that? Everybody should have just been like, all right, my bad on that one. It's like, you screwed up. Sorry. It's okay. D-Mac says, on the low, I rocked with Johnny B. Bad. Rock with some early Mero too, super talented. The injuries grounded him and they switched his gimmick, trying to play off his boxing background. That was the one time we're trying to be real, this was not going to work. Boxing doesn't work in WWE. It just doesn't work. It's stupid. It's very limiting. He punches. His gimmick is that he punches. What? You could change his name to Marvelous Mark and he still do the same thing. Do all the flips and high flying offense and everything. It would have been great. But turn him into a boxer was stupid. That was dumb. That was real dumb. When I went back and watched WCW, Johnny B. Bad was entertaining. And it was very interesting. It was like very off the wall. I can see why Vince liked it though. The boa, the sparkles, the Little Richard stuff that he was doing. I see why Vince liked it. It seemed like something Vince would have gotten into. And then when he got him, he couldn't do the gimmick. So he was like, oh, well, what do we do now? What's the Macho Man dream match that you wish happened? Well, he did wrestle Shawn Michaels. So he wrestled a pre-prime Shawn Michaels, and it was very good. I wish, however, we'd have got that WrestleMania 10 match that Macho Man wanted. We got the ladder match, which can't argue with that. But I wish we had gotten the Savage Shawn Michaels storyline that he pitched before he left. Or I wish he would have wrestled Bret the Hitman Hart. I can only imagine how much better WrestleMania 10 would be remembered if Bret had wrestled Randy Savage rather than Yokozuna. To me, I oscillate between not liking Yokozuna and thinking Yokozuna is okay. Because generally speaking, I don't really like Yokozuna. Not as a champion. As a big monster heel, he was great. But as a world champion, I don't really care for... Compared to what we could have had, I really don't care for him, if we're being honest. Looking at Randy Savage toiling away wrestling fucking Crush when he could have wrestled in Bret Hart for the title. I don't know, man. I don't like that. That puts a sour taste in my mouth, you know. But it is what it is. It's Vince's company. He's gonna make that decision. Huge Ahmed Johnson fan here at DMAC. I wasn't. Um, Not initially. He grew on me over time though. I remember when he won the Intercontinental title. I was in the room with a bunch of other people. We couldn't believe it because nobody thought he was gonna win. Like nobody else thought he was gonna win. And then he won, and not only won, but won in like once he made his comeback and hit the Pro River Plunge. Everybody was like, "Oh shit!" Like we were just like looking at each other like, "What? Really?" And we were fans from that point forward. We were like, "Hell yeah, let's go!" It took a couple of seconds for it to sink in, but then we was like, "Yeah, let's go with it." Then he's teaming with Shawn and the Ultimate Warrior. We're like, "Hell yeah, yep, he's right where he should be." And then that's it. He got injured. That was the end of that. AJ3 says Sam Jackson is the only actor immune to the end of my career film experiment. Sam Jackson just takes any movie, and you would think that he's done so many terrible movies. He done some really bad movies. Some shit he had no business being, but he's immune to it. Like you said, like he just does the goofy. Like I used to go to Blockbuster. I would go like monthly and pick up like the movies they were selling. Like it was like $3 or $4. No, like it'd be like 3 for $20 or something like that. And it would always inevitably be some Sam Jackson movie I'd never heard of in that stack. And I would be like, it's got Sam Jackson in it, so let me pick it up. That's how I ended up with The Spirit. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna, and you'd be like, what the fuck is Sam Jackson doing in this movie? Why is he in this movie? Like there was one movie when he was wearing a kilt and he had like a wig, a hairpiece in it. You was like, what the what is this? He was like a chemist or something like that. It was a stupid movie. It was like, this movie's stupid. It's like he was in so many dumb movies. Dirty Money. That's exactly what it's called. There we go. Dirty Money. Yep, there it is. Aquemini. A lot of people like Aquemini. I actually don't like Aquemini. I don't really like Aquemini. I know that makes me it puts me in a weird space. But that's when I think they really jumped off the ledge after Aquemini. But I liked when Outkast was a little bit more grounded. They kind of started going off into space on Aquemini. Then they went into they thinking they were the Funkadelic after that. And I was like, no, thank you. I listen to it sometimes, but I was like, By the time Speaker Box Love Below came out, I don't know. I wasn't high enough. I was not getting high often enough or at all. So I really was not that into Outkast. AJ3 says the Hurt Business is the closest thing we got to the Black Four Horsemen. I agree. It was so good. If Benoit never did what he did, how would the business be today? Oh, that's an interesting statement. Because if Benoit had not murdered his family, he probably would have put off PG-13 PG era a little bit longer. It wouldn't have been such a hard rule either. So it's hard to say, but I definitely think we probably got blood and guts for a little while longer. Probably for a little while longer. Probably another 2 or 3 years, maybe. But I think the PG thing was happening either way, because there were other things. Benoit just expedited it. That made it absolutely necessary to do it right now. And that killed the ECW brand because now there's a lot of stuff they can't do. But it was going to happen anyway. Imagine Gangster Lean Eddie versus Chain Gang Cena. That would have been fun, right? Oh, that would have been fun. Eddie would have gotten his match with Shawn. Ray would have most likely had a Christian title reign. Yes, I think that probably would have been the case. I think Ray probably would have won the title, probably not at WrestleMania, but probably somewhere else. And it would have been short. It wouldn't have lasted long at all. But yeah, Eddie probably would have won the belt because he was supposed to win the belt from Batista because Batista got hurt. So he's supposed to win that belt, and then he was going to wrestle Shawn that year. I don't know if that's going to be for the title or not, but he was going to wrestle Shawn at WrestleMania that year, and he was going to be off to the races. Ray, don't know what you do without Eddie, but I think he would have won the belt eventually. Do you think Batista is going to return to WWE? Well, he said he will, but he said he's not going to wrestle. He's going to come back to do promos or whatever and do a segment. So he said he's interested in doing that, but he doesn't want to wrestle anymore. So I think he will pop up, but I don't think I want Batista showing up anymore. To be honest, he's less and less like the animal that everybody knew and loved. He's lost a ton of weight. He's so much older and far more mellow than he used to be. I don't know, man. There's a certain element to the animal that everybody liked. I'm very disappointed we never got him to wrestle Brock Lesnar. I'm very disappointed in that. Vegeta Lover says, yeah, Randy can face Roman after he teams with him. Then what you going to do with LA Knight? I don't know. Wardlow could be great in WWE. How old is Wardlow? Before we ask that question. If he's like 32, then maybe. If he's like 28, then definitely. WG Phil, no Road Dogg, took Jeff Jarrett's role in the main roster creative team. Oh, okay. Do you think Edge would fit well in AEW and have a last run with Christian as a tag team? My thing is, who's to say Edge still wants to wrestle? How about that? Who's to say he even still wants to wrestle? Maybe he wants to retire. Maybe he's done. Maybe he had this conversation with his kids, had the conversation with his wife, and he doesn't want to do this shit anymore. Or maybe they don't want him to do it anymore. I don't know. Until he's actually standing in the ring at AEW, I'm not buying it. It's all just rumors and speculation at this point. My thing is, what the hell does AEW want with them? They hired like Mark Henry, who said he had more matches left in the tank. He ain't had one yet. They hired Big Show, same thing. Oh, I still got some left in the tank. He ain't wrestled not damn match yet. And he ain't going to. So Edge is probably going to be the same goddamn thing. They probably will pull off tag team matches. Now, do I think that they would say Edge and Christian or Christian Cage and Edge Copeland? I don't know. Adam Edge? I don't know. Versus the Young Bucks or versus FTR? Yeah. And I can see Edge going to AEW because his boys are there. Christian, FTR, he's friends with all those guys. So it wouldn't be a huge surprise to me. But I mean, if you're gonna go for the bag, go for the bag, if you're gonna go back. What else is there for him to do in WWE except for have a big WrestleMania send off? He got the big send off in Toronto that he wanted. I wrestled 400 days a year. Oh, that's a pretty good Hulk Hogan line. The one where he says that he wrestled twice a day because he went on the airplane and went back and forth to Tokyo. Oh, that's a good one too. That's not how time travel works. That sucks. Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat? I've always been a Street Fighter fan. Mortal Kombat's fun too, but I was always like Street Fighter. Stone Cold gets the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, absolutely. Have I ever seen The Sopranos? I have not. Maybe one day I'm gonna have to. I'm probably like the only person on earth that has never seen Breaking Bad, The Wire, or Sopranos. I have not sat through any of those shows. They're heavily drama shows. So, and I have a tough time with dramas now. If this was like 15 years ago, I probably would have sat through and watched them all. But since I feel like I've developed attention deficit, something where the action is moving very slowly and the stories are moving at a very slow pace, I don't have the I don't think I have the attention span to sit through these shows anymore. It's eventually I'm gonna get through The Wire and Sopranos and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, I guess if I live long enough, I'll watch enough of that stuff. But I'm like the only guy on earth that's never seen any of that stuff. Uh, oh, Dear John. Oh hell, I remember that show. That show is that show just so that show depressing as hell, bro. Um, MASH last episode is heartbreaking. It makes you think about PTSD and how it affects people. Well, I'm not even gonna hold you up. I have never seen. I saw enough of MASH, but as soon as the theme song plays, I get sleepy. Like I'm just like a trained animal. As soon as I hear that theme song to MASH, I start getting tired. You know, I hated that show so much. How do you hate MASH? It's perfect. I don't understand how you like MASH. Friends is trash. Yeah, it is. I never got the hype either. Did you know that Friends was a spinoff of Living Single? Friends? I hate Living Single too. I don't like Living Single. Married with Children is tremendous. Married with Children is very good. You know, it's a very good show. Best Triple H theme, My Time or The Game. I like The Game. The Game is very good. Batista has so many damn tattoos. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this guy. Wardlow is 35. Oh, poor Wardlow. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Maybe he gets the Batista push. You know, he comes in and you know we can all could be forgiven. He powerbombs Symphony's a couple of guys. He gets super over. They give him the belt. He keeps powerbomb Symphony guys, and we just pretend that he's 28 instead. Damn, 35? Shit. He wasted his entire youth in AEW, bro. All right, back to the comment section. RAS, watching WWE since Triple H took over, I noticed that he killed the momentum of many wrestlers. Lacey Evans, Rick Boogs was getting good. With Nakamura was getting over. He stopped Elias from being entertaining, and he put R-Truth on NXT for no reason. Now I can't sit through Raw or SmackDown without skipping all the boring matches. I don't care about Ciampa, Nakamura, Finn, Priest, the Vikings, New Day, Owens, Sammy, 95% of the women's roster, and so much more. The Bloodline, LA Knight, Grayson Waller Theory, LWO are the only things I find entertaining on Raw and SmackDown. But you have decent taste. I like Finn Balor. Sami Zayn's very good. I don't like Kevin Owens. I'm tired of the New Day. I don't know what you do with them because I'm not saying fire them. They're great ambassadors. They're good guys. I don't know what you do with them. Maybe you send them to NXT. I don't know what you do. But I'm kind of tired of them too, dog. But Kevin Owens is the one I can't stand. I literally can't stand that fucking guy. Ciampa, I'm on the fence because I like Ciampa, but he is small and it is what it is. Ben Get It In has 4 questions. 1, your favorite and or best era of wrestling. Golden era. 90s, 80s, late 80s, mid to late 80s, early 90s WWF. Best TV show based out of Detroit. Martin, Sister, Sister, Home Improvement. I didn't know Sister, Sister was based in Detroit. But the answer is clearly Martin. It's just without a shadow of a doubt, it's Martin. 3, ever watched All Access on Showtime? They do a great job selling fights on this program. It's what's missing in wrestling. Yes, I watched the All Access for the last fight. Shit. What's my man's name? It'll come to me eventually. But yeah, they do a great job of going back and forth, really putting over the fighters and their similarities and their differences, and letting these guys talk. And you know, you can kind of tell who's going to win from those All Access joints because somebody's usually taking it very seriously, and somebody else is chilling. 4, I thought the 1997 Gang Wars in WWF were underappreciated. Ahmed Johnson was my guy when he was healthy. Yeah, Spence Crawford. That's exactly what it was. Errol Spence got beat up. It was very unfortunate for him. Very unfortunate for him. But you could tell that he was going to lose just from watching like All Access. He just didn't have the eye of the tiger. Crawford was basically like a machine. That kid was not fucking around. All right, he came for blood, and you could watch those All Access joints, and you could just watch them shits, and you'd be like, man, that Crawford kid is scary. He is out to hurt this guy. And then that's exactly what happened. You could just tell, from watching it. But I thought the night he says the gang wars. I didn't like Los Bariquas. I didn't understand it. Also didn't like uh, the motorcycle gang with chains and all. I didn't like none of that stuff. To me, it felt too racial. All right, it felt like it was mini race wars on like the white guys are fighting the Latino guys, the black guys are fighting the skinhead bikers, and it's like, it didn't come across that way in terms of like the promos and stuff, but it felt like that way on TV, and then I don't think we really got anything out of it. Like, I couldn't name none of the other guys in Los Bariquas. And if it wasn't for the Harris twins working in WWF before they got there and in TNA, I wouldn't remember who they are either. So, I didn't like that. It was too much. But I agree with Ahmed Johnson. There's a lot of Ahmed Johnson talk on this show now. DeAndre Dukes has 5 questions. If The Rock versus Roman Reigns happens at WrestleMania 40, where do you see Cody Rhodes fitting in? He's got to wrestle somebody else. If Randy can go, do Cody and Randy at WrestleMania. Maybe they main event night 1, or something like that. There's other people for him to face. But again, Roman and Rock don't need the belt, so I don't know. You can go there. Has a girl ever broken your heart? Oh yeah, several times. We're not gonna go down that road, but yeah, it's been an unfortunate time for your boy. 3, do you prefer villains that are pure evil or ones that you can sympathize with? Depends on the story. I don't like when people try to tack on a sob story for the villain near the end. Yu Yu Hakusho was big for that. I hated that. When you take a villain like a Toguro, when you think, oh, he's pure evil, he's just an absolute asshole. He's a badass and a beast. And then at the end, you're like, oh, we're supposed to feel sorry for this guy? Shinobu Sensui, same thing. Oh, we're supposed to feel bad for this guy after he, tried to kill all the humans. What? Now we're supposed to feel bad for him? Oh, he had cancer. He didn't know what he was doing. He's delirious. Like, no, hell no. Get out of here with that crap. If the sympathy is built into the villain's story and it's there the entire time they're doing horrible stuff, probably. But tacking it on at the end, I don't like that. I don't necessarily like that. 4, what would you say is the key reason why the world is in the state it's in? Lack of accountability. Now that's lack of personal responsibility, lack of accountability. Always wanting somebody else to take care of problems that you created, or blaming somebody else for problems that you could have fixed yourself, or people doing terrible shit and not having any sort of accountability for it. If you just take a look at whatever individual issue you want, you'll probably find lack of personal responsibility, lack of accountability, victim blaming, or not even victim blaming. That's the wrong term. Blaming other people, pointing the finger, scapegoating. And 5, have you seen the movie Life? I would not be who I am if I had never seen the movie Life. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. And I tell you this, that movie was very good. It was one of the more fun movies. I wasn't really a big fan of movies until I saw Life. It made me a fan of movies because it took me back to when I was watching Harlem Nights as a kid. That's how good that movie was for me. Moda Killer, who do you see have a better career or big push After stable breakup, Dom or Solo? Ooh, ooh, mmm. That's a good one. Mm. Dominic is a more Dominic is a character you can beat him in 3 minutes and he'll just get his heat back later. Solo Sokoa, you can't do that to him, you know. But at the same time, I'm not sure what his ceiling is. I'm not sure what Dominic's ceiling is either. I don't think Dominic can be the world champion. I think Solo probably could be. Dominic Mysterio, as he is right now, can't be the world champion. He's too good at being the punk kid. When his character matures, maybe. Solo Sokoa right now can be a challenger for the world title. Probably not win it, but he can challenge for it. Due to how they have perceived his character. And I think they're about the same age, probably, right? Maybe Solo's a little bit older. Um, After the breakup, it'll probably hurt Dom more because he'll lose Rhea Ripley and he'll lose all the people who are helping him in terms of Judgment Day. So it definitely would damage his character more to get rid of Judgment Day. Solo is a beast even without the bloodline. So in terms of which character is more down bad after the breakup of the group, it's Dominic. So I probably have to go with Solo as being better. The Fabismopain, I don't know what that is. We got a couple of questions here. After Punk leaving AEW, consider a brand split to make the shows different. No, they wanted the shows to be the same now. That's the plan, I guess. How do you think AEW would be if Paul Heyman was booking it? Anybody, it's similar to what is going on now. A bunch of high flyers. He'd probably book Wardlow better. I can almost guarantee that Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs and Samoa Joe probably would be in much better positions. Some of the smaller guys would still be there, but they wouldn't be, the Orange Cassidy's I don't think would have happened. He'd have been a comedic jobber like a Mikey Whipwreck or something like that. He wouldn't have been like the world beater that Orange Cassidy is now. But I think Paul is far more traditional in his mindset than most people are willing to give him credit for, because Paul didn't go too far out of the box when it came to pushing guys. What Mikey Whipwreck is probably as far as it went in terms of him doing ridiculous shit with his product. That was as far as it went. Everybody else was pretty traditional. Pretty much anybody would have picked Taz to be a top guy, with that character, with that audience, and with those skills. Even though he's short, I can see why you would put Taz as the top guy. I see why you would do Bam Bam Bigelow. Now, near the end, Steve Corino and Just Incredible. Oh, that was a mistake. But he was trying to make new guys, so I can't blame him too much for that. 3, should wrestling have an off season like soccer and basketball? I think if it did, it wouldn't be worth the money that it's worth. You can give wrestlers an off season if you want, but then you have to take a huge pay cut, because part of the reason why wrestling is so valuable is because they don't have an off season. 4, Trump or Biden? Oh my God! Oh, what an awful question. Biden is essentially a corpse in the White House. We being honest. Look, Trump is an idiot. All right, he didn't learn from the last time, but but Trump is Trump. He's animated. At least he got all his faculties. Biden is an empty suit. Is Weekend at Bernie's in Washington right now. He's not in control of nothing. All the kids from college and all his the deep state is in control when Biden is in there. So Trump by default, because Biden sucks, and he sucks very, very hard. But Trump sucks too. He doesn't have traditionally conservative values. He certainly doesn't have libertarian values, and it's hard to land on what he truly believes versus what he's willing to say to get elected. So if we're being honest, if we put a gun to my head and say either one, I would easily vote Trump. But I, that would be begrudging because I definitely don't like Biden. 5. What show would you keep if all the other wrestling shows were to be eliminated? NXT. If you say, well, they're not going to do anything else, you're just going to have one. If you're going to watch one wrestling show a week, NXT. SmackDown, I like SmackDown, but AEW I can do without. If we being honest, I can get more sleep on probably not on Saturdays, probably definitely on Wednesdays. I can get more sleep. 6. Who is your rap goat? Nas, easily, and I think the Hit Boy set of albums that he did has put him over the edge. I think that if you were still on the fence about who the greatest rapper of all time was, I think that if you studied his career, for Nas to be like the only rapper to still be dropping full albums and relevant at 50, not even Jay-Z has done that. Like Jay-Z has this godfather-y kind of role where he can drop a verse here and there and people will get amped over it. He ain't dropping full projects. Nas is dropping a whole project. And he sounds reinvigorated. Are they as creative as the earlier Nas records? No. But they are very good. Technically very good albums and very well produced. So I'm gonna go with Nas. Easily for me. Darren Miles. Who was your favorite? Who had the better career, Jadakiss or Beanie Siegel? Oh, this is a good one. Ho, ho, ho. It's easily that Jadakiss had the better career. I think Jadakiss really took off again with the versus battles. People woke up to how a lot of people slept on Jadakiss in the late 90s through the early to mid 2000s. Jadakiss was in the ring with all the GOATs from Jay-Z to Biggie to Big Pun, to Nas. Jadakiss was in the ring with all of them. And most people were not paying attention to how good he was at that time. They're paying attention to it now, but a lot of people were not paying attention to how good he was at that time. And it wasn't until he did the versus battle that I think people realized, like, damn, Jadakiss has been on some really hot shit and has done some really hot shit of his own. But it took a while, It took some time. It took for people to grow into it. But Beanie Siegel, my goodness. As a songwriter, he's better than Jadakiss. His albums are better than Jadakiss albums. He did not get the features that Jadakiss got. He didn't get the love that Jadakiss got. But listen to Beanie Siegel's Nothing Like It, the opening to The Reason. I remember when I bought that album, that first track, Nothing Like It, I'll probably listen to that song for 30 minutes straight. I've never did that to a Jadakiss song before. I like Jadakiss, love the guy, he's great. But Beanie Siegel, What's Your Life Like? Die. If you listen to Beanie Siegel and how he put words together, he is a phenomenal MC. He doesn't have the range. He doesn't have the All About the Benjamins. He doesn't have the money, power, respect. He doesn't have the hits that Jadakiss got. He don't got the clout that Jadakiss got because Jadakiss was with the heavyweights for such a long time. But I mean, Jadakiss was rapping on songs with Big Pun, for Christ's sake, and holding his own, you know? So then, of course, if Jadakiss was holding his own against with Biggie and Jay-Z on records, and he's smoking people in like the early 2000s, he's putting the heat to people, you know? But Beans, oh my God. Uh, that one track he did with Jay-Z, like, Daddy, where have you been? He killed Jay-Z on that shit. Like, it was, Beanie Siegel is one of the best MCs that people don't listen to. And I don't know why. And I have a very difficult time. It's hard to get people to really give him a good listen. Those first two, though, listen to the first two. The first two is real. The third one is good too. Don't get me wrong. You know, Beanie Siegel is very creative. Lyrically, he's fantastic. He's a fantastic MC. I wish people would give Beans more credit. You know, I love Beans for sure. I'm gonna listen to some Beanie Siegel when we get done with this. You guys have talked me into it. Reebok or Nike? Nikes have always been too expensive. I always went with Reebok. 3. Do you think Impact Wrestling and NWA should fuse together, since both of them are pretty much dead promotions? Who's going to run it? That's going to be my question. Who's going to run it? Who's going to fund it? Because NWA is funded by Billy Corgan. He doesn't have any outside partnerships. His talent is some of the worst in the business, though. And the same thing can be said for Impact. I think they should probably have some kind of partnership, maybe. Maybe NWA could be a subsidiary of Impact. You know, like a farm league. It sucks to say because Impact barely has more viewers than NWA. And I'm talking about more fans in the building. But like talent trades might actually benefit them. Somebody like Camille could really benefit from going to Impact for a short time. And somebody like Tasha Steelz could probably benefit from going to NWA for a short time. You know? It's that the other titles and stuff like that you kind of 4. What are your thoughts on financial gurus? Uh, mm. If you're gonna listen to anybody financial, you should first learn how they made their money. Entrepreneurs are probably the best way to learn about financing, not from the people who did the stock market. People who work like Warren Buffett, who make their money off of passive income, they know a lot about business. You know, they study business, they analyze businesses, they analyze budgets and that kind of stuff. But I think entrepreneurs are probably better because they've actually had their hands in it. You know, former CEOs, you know, people who, if they are going to be your financial guru or they're going to be somebody you're going to watch YouTube videos of, yeah, you know, if they're just an investor, that's interesting if you're going to be in investing, but you should probably listen to entrepreneurs. I think that's the best way to go. And if they're not an entrepreneur or an investor, don't even listen to them. You know, those are usually the only two you should listen to anyway: entrepreneurs and investors, because they are on the cutting edge. They know where to find information, they know where to look, and they know what certain stuff means. You know, but so that's as far as I would go. 5. How come there's barely any blood in anime anymore? I think they just want to try to give these products, especially like Dragon Ball, they want to aim it at younger audiences, so they want to curtail the blood. And it sucks because part of the reason why Dragon Ball became so popular in the United States is because of the blood. 6. What are your thoughts of Pokemon? Did you collect any Pokemon cards during the Pokemon craze of 98, 99, 2000? Yes, I did. Somebody asked in the comment section if I was a Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh guy. I was always Pokemon. I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh, I was a little too old for that. But Pokemon, I was right there. I tried playing the game. like the actual card game. I was never any good at it. But the video games, excellent. The anime, I watched a little bit of it. I have not watched a lot of it. It's one of those things that I watched it on TV off and on. But I love Pokemon. It was fun. 7. Did the Edgelords take over the comic industry? No. The Simps did. the Cupcakes did. 8. What is a Japanophile? Well, phile in Latin or the Greek means love. So Japanophile would be somebody, a lover of Japan. Or what they would call an otaku or a weeb. So there it is. What are your thoughts on Colin Kaepernick running back to the NFL after suing them and calling them racist? I think that it's pretty clear that he is a goof. And you know what? You know the worst thing about it? It's not even that he wanted to go back after calling it a slave plantation. It's that he wasn't even man enough to put the letter out himself. That was the most bitch-made stuff of all time. He had J. Cole pull it out for him. Why? Why couldn't he send that letter himself? That's the thing that pissed me off. I was like, he's not a serious person. He's not serious at all. If you say out of your mouth all these horrible things, then say out of your mouth that you want back in. You know? I'm gonna have my celebrity friend put this letter out for me. It's like being in I'm being in middle school. I'm gonna have my friend slide this girl I like a note. Do you like me? Like, no. It's so much better if you say it yourself. I would have ripped that thing up and threw it in the garbage. Like, he didn't give it to me himself. You know, called me on the phone, send a message or whatever. Don't try to go through a third party. That's ridiculous. 10. What are your thoughts on Joe Biden wasting billions on Ukraine? I think that if you want to know why he cares so much about Ukraine, you need to start to find out why his son was doing business in the Ukraine. I mean, it's pretty obvious to me, right? His son, who apparently has no marketable skills at all, was doing business in Ukraine. Now we're giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. I'm very suspicious about that. And I think most people should be. But not enough people are suspicious about that because they're being told to hate the Russians. You can do both. You can hate Russians and still say, why are we giving billions of dollars to the Ukraine? Why is that happening? You know? You can do both. It's not like an either or situation. It's not like you're being given a gun and you can only shoot one of the two people. It's, it's a challenging question. We can dislike Russians for being assholes and being aggressive, and we can dislike Ukraine for a reason too. Sheesh. Gas or charcoal, hickory or applewood? A question by Darren Gordon-Hill. For starters, when I grill, I almost always grill with charcoal. I'm going to start grilling with wood eventually. I have not done wood yet. But I'm going to try wood eventually. I don't like gas though. Gas, not really. Taste the meats, not the heat. I love charcoal though. Charcoal is great. Mr. VXG, what move looks more ridiculous? The modern day leg slaps or the old school foot stomp punches? Ooh. The old school foot stomp punches, I'm just so used to them. They are ridiculous, but I'm just used to them. The leg slaps, it's annoying because your foot would not make that goddamn sound. For starters, you're wearing boots, so that your foot would not make that sound if you really kick somebody in the face. That's a skin on skin sound. You're wearing a boot, it's not going to sound like that. So it really doesn't even make any sense. JS, would you still watch Raw if it went to 4 hours? Oh my God. Oh shit. I watch it in blocks. I probably wouldn't sit there and watch the whole show. No lie. I'll probably at that point I feel comfortable watching 2 hours and then going to bed and watching the next 2 hours probably the next day or something like that. Sitting watching Raw for every week? Probably not. I don't think you can do anything on Raw that would make that show watchable for 4 hours. I really don't think wrestling shows should be 4 hours. I'm thinking you're pushing it with 3. Like you're pushing it with 3. But if it's a WrestleMania, or even you want to say AEW, a Wembley All In show, it's a huge show, 80,000 people or whatever. Basically a wrestling festival. All right, 4 hours. I will give you that. Do your smorgasbord once a year, get it out your system. But 3-4 hour Raws is a absolute. That's horrible. That's horrible. I think people would legit quit if they did that. If they said next week Raw was going to be 4 hours, you'll probably see people on the writing staff start quitting. I think Triple H would be like, nope, 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 nope. No, thank you. Those matches will be 30 minutes at that point. Or, to be quite honest, what would end up happening is you'll probably have an entire hour eaten up by commercials. That's more than likely what would occur. And that's painful to sit through. Oh, that's awful. So, no, I would not watch a 4 hour Raw. I barely want to watch 3 hour Raws. Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter already answered that question. How would you book Wardlow if he went to WWE? This is from Top Dog. Same way that Tony Khan booked him. Have jobbers, Powerbomb Symphony, Powerbombs guys 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, just to get them over. And then you have slowly build up, sort of what they did to Ryback. Powerbomb guys 3 times, 4 times, get the crowd into it. It would be weeks before anybody put him on his back. For starters, he probably wouldn't get put on his back for months. But before somebody actually staggers him, it'd be several weeks. I don't know what he would say in terms of saying things, but I don't know. 2, do you think Macho Man and Hulk Hogan got in a real fight backstage? I heard they almost came to blows a couple of times. But each time, Savage kind of backed down because, Hogan is Hogan. If you get into a fight with Hulk Hogan, who do you think Vince is going to get rid of? You or Hogan? No, but I don't think they ever got into a fight. I think they, Savage probably really wanted to fight him and then chose not to for the betterment of his own career. Because we know Savage will attack people, and he did. Him and his family attacked superstar Bill Dundee. And I think he got to a fight with like Hawk from Legion of Doom too, didn't he? At like a concert, I think it was. So it's not like he's a conflict avoidant, but I think he was looking at it from the perspective of when is he going to fight Hulk Hogan? It's not going to affect his career until they both retired or they were both out of the business. What's your favorite memories of guys like Rock and Cena? Rock, Cena, and Austin. The Rock and Sock Connection stuff was fun. Always like oddball tag teams. Austin and McMahon stuff was very fun. It's always some really good stuff there. Whew. This thing is going on longer than I thought. All right, thoughts on Brian Breaker? Well, or destroying Von's head with steel steps. This must have been had to be from when that thing came out. I thought it was a great moment. Really put Brian Breaker over. Got some sympathy for Von Wagner. Crazy thing is they put him in a feud with Baron Corbin. So I don't know. Favorite Juvenile song not named Back That Ass Up. I'm not going to hold you up. That's not even my favorite Juvenile song. Nowhere near, actually. I like, things like Ghetto Children far more than it was. But the 400 Degrees, the song is my favorite Juvenile song. That's he killed that. Man, Juvenile has just so much shit. I like the song with him and BG at the end of G Code. That was tremendous too. It's just they got so many things. Run with it, run for it, run for it. I love Juvenile, man. It's tremendous. I don't know about Know Your Clap though. I don't know about that. It was alright, but I didn't like those dudes he ran with. I was not a big fan. Uh, okay, so we're at the end of the road. WG Field. Listeners Anonymous. Triple H has Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and Cody to discuss the plans of bringing back CM Punk. Let's see. Triple H, Seth Rollins, Cody. Okay. Oh my God. I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one because I'm trying to think. Well, we know how Seth Rollins feels about CM Punk. We know that. Finn Balor is kind of ambivalent about Punk. So I don't know how to even approach that one. Cody is, you know, fake supportive of everything. So I know what position to come from there. Okay, so let's do this. All right. Uh, hey, Cody, got some ideas for you. Come in, have a seat. Um, you know, uh, Phil Brooks, CM Punk, thinking about bringing him back, into the fold. What do you think? Uh, he's a very talented guy, very opinionated. Uh, but everybody deserves a second chance. Uh, chocolate, vanilla. You pick the flavor. I'm picking the flavor, and Rocky Road. That's what it seems like. It seems like Rocky Road right now. But what do you think? Oh well, Triple H. I think CM Punk is a fantastic professional wrestler. He is very entertaining and a mainstream superstar. I think he will absolutely fit very well in our locker room. Uh, is are you really going to bring him into this locker room? Uh, I was really thinking about it, just kind of getting some ideas from the boys. Uh, but you worked with him briefly, I suppose, in AEW. What did you think about CM Punk? Well, I worked with him before and back in the past, and he wants to be like the locker room leader, and I'm not sure that this locker room needs that kind of negative influence. Uh, we're cueing racism here, okay? The American Dream, big fan of CM Punk. My hero, Dusty Rhodes, big fan of CM Punk. But I'm not entirely sure if it's the right move at this time. Okay, so Cody has it. Then we got Seth Rollins. Oh, Seth, we were talking, me and Cody. We were having a conversation about CM Punk. Oh no, Philly Phil. No, thank you to Philly Phil. I'm not interested at all in Philly Phil coming back to the WWE. He to stay away from me forever. Is there heat between the two of you? Cause I gotta pick this ice cream here, you know. Um, chocolate, vanilla. Uh, I'm not sure what. It's not about ice cream, Trips. The guy's a douchebag. He's a jerk. Nobody wants him here. So somebody wants him here. I mean, it's good for the WWE universe. I don't mean to interrupt. Uh, far be it from me to tell Seth Rollins how to run this locker room. He is the veteran. here. Um, Guy who's been, world champion, main event of WrestleMania, far be it from little me, Cody Rhodes, to tell him how to run his locker room. But I actually agree with him that CM Punk is not welcome in the locker room. But that's just my 2 cents. Well, see, it's 2-0. We're striking out here. I kind of want to bring him back, but seems that everybody's pretty upset about it. Got to ask another top guy. Is that Damian Priest in the hallway? Hey, Damian Priest. You ever have any work with CM Punk? Hasta bien, CM Punk. Los Muertos, CM Punk. I think I've met him more than once. Finn, have you worked with CM Punk before? Ain't never worked with him before. But it doesn't matter. I don't care who you signed to this company. I'm trying to come up with a funny Finn Balor thing. I can't come up with one. I tried. I threw Damian Priest in there for kicks. So, all right. I do see what Vince means about business plateauing during the low sponsors. Do you think Vince really wanted to merge with the UFC, or no one in his family wanted to run the business? I think that he was nudged into this. I think ultimately this was his dead man switch. All else fails, Vince was going to sell the company. If he wasn't going to get what he wanted, which is to return to the company, or if anybody's going to try to cut him out, he always had the idea to sell it. And the timing of that, it's very interesting. That the moment he's forced out of his company, all of a sudden he feels like selling it. Now he was pushed to this. Again, investors had been nudging him for years to sell or something like that, and he had refused. But as soon as he's forced out, all of a sudden he feels like he wants to sell. I mean, that Vince is full of shit. I don't think it has anything to do with none of the kids want to run the company. I had a feeling that he probably, again, feels betrayed by the people who voted for him not to come back. And he says, okay, well, y'all don't want me back. Fuck it. I'll take it from you too. And then there it is. 3, out of all the hiring sprees of 2022, who is by far the most successful, and which one should Triple H go ahead and pink slip? Well, he already fired the one that I think that he probably should have gotten rid of, which is Emma. The most successful is probably Chelsea Green, because she's the only one that's actually showing you that she shouldn't have been fired the first time. The others, slowly but surely, are they're okay at the very least. But when you look at Chelsea Green, she's actually adding something to the company. They need to give her more to do. She needs more to do, and I think she deserves more. But they got rid of the one person that was like the most useless. 4, what would Edge gain joining AEW? And how do you predict his run being? And could AEW keep his neck safe? He's not going to be neck strong, I'm telling you. Adam! He's not going to be neck strong, I promise. Could AEW keep his neck safe considering Adam Cole, Bryan Punk suffered injuries 5 months into their runs? Man, could you imagine Adam Copeland trying to keep up with the Young Bucks as they try to do every flip known to man? You try to imagine this guy's going to put his career in the hands of a 120-pound guy to do a tombstone power driver after somebody else has just done a somersault off of a springboard. Man, fuck no. If I was him, I wouldn't even do that. It's not worth it. Like, it's not like the Young Bucks are unsafe. It's that, do you really need to take those bumps? You really need those guys doing all these crazy splashes onto you and everything? Most of these guys are too fucking reckless in AEW. That's the problem. Now, if he only worked with his friends, like he worked with the Hardy Boys, they're all so old they can't hurt each other. FTR, they're good enough in the ring where they won't kill each other. But most of the other young talent, so I don't know if I would trust them. So I don't know. 5. Where does Triple H hatred of charismatic stars come from? Warrior or The Rock? Oh, I guess this is multiple questions. I don't know where his hatred of charismatic stars come from. He was a fan of Ric Flair as a kid. He was a fan of Harley Race as a kid. Ric Flair was, of course, more charismatic than Harley Race, but I don't know where his hatred of charismatic stars would come from, other than he was a victim of charismatic stars. Well, I think he got Triple H. Well, Shawn Michaels got PTSD from Giants. Big guys have forever told Shawn that they wouldn't sell for him because he was too small. So whenever he can, Shawn wants to kick a big guy in the balls. So I just, well, with Triple H, I don't know. Maybe it's PTSD from The Rock. I don't know. All those matches with The Rock. Warrior or The Rock? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, which one do I prefer? Um. Oh, okay. So this is all one question. Oh, who? What? Oh, so like Warrior or The Rock? I don't think Warrior burying him didn't really hurt his career that much. It was so early into his run that it really didn't matter that much. You know. Um. It wasn't like he was being pushed as a main event star either. He was in that position because he was a beatable guy. You know, it wasn't like Warrior steamrolled somebody who had a huge future. You know. All right, all right. It's time to go, guys. This has been fun. Ghetto Children is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal record. It really is. Who has more upside in Imperium, Giovanni Vinci or Ludwig? Well, Kaiser, clearly. Kaiser is going to be Intercontinental Champion one day. Ukraine was listed as the most corrupt country 5 years in a row. More corrupt than South Africa? More corrupt than Zimbabwe? And them African countries are fucking corrupt. Haiti is probably the most corrupt country on earth. How could Ukraine be more corrupt than Haiti? Haiti is one of the most corrupt countries on the planet. It's not possible. But I'm not surprised either, if we've been honest. Have you had a DMAC? Have you had a chance to check out the Dangerous Alliance? If so, how would you rate them as a faction? Kind of short-lived, but excellent group. Uh, the Cruncher, Larry Zbyszko, that takes me out of it immediately right there. But it was always good to watch Heyman work with like Rick Rude. Like that's fun. There's elements of the Dangerous Alliance that I liked. Larry Zbyszko being the Cruncher is not one of them. I can tell you that much. They battled Sting's team in War Games. One of the more forgettable War Games matches, if we're being honest. Who meant more, DX, the Hart Foundation, or the Nation? Well, DX. I think they ended up having a better legacy. I think the Nation of Domination, their legacy is more immaterial in terms of it was like the first black stable in WWF, and they were going all about racial stuff, and it was kind of rip on the Nation of Islam. The Hart Foundation was very fun, though. I love the Hart Foundation, to be quite honest. Trent Strickland says he personally hated Ahmed Johnson because he always had a wedgie. He did have a permanent wedgie. Absolutely. Oh, shit. Madcap Moss is 34. He had been in NXT since 2014. Was he injured or something like that? Because I don't remember him being in NXT that long. Korshan Ard, what did you think of R-Truth 2011 heel run? I think it started so good. It started great. When he bust out that cigarette and was smoking live on Raw. I'm telling you, that was one of my favorite moments on TV when he blasted Johnny Morrison in the head with a water bottle, and it looked like I love that run. I love that. It started out great. How that turned into him talking to himself, dressed like a Confederate soldier and all that crazy stuff, I don't know. I don't even know how we got there. But when he bust out and started smoking a cigarette on Raw, that shit ruled. That was awesome shit. You know, being crazy and stuff. He started looking like Unc R-Truth. It was great. The Biz, is Mr. Perfect the most underrated in-ring performer of all time, and why am I right? The thing is, so many people love Mr. Perfect that you can't even say he's underrated anymore. Everybody knows how great he was. So you can't even say he's underrated. So probably not. Probably not the most underrated. There's probably somebody who doesn't get the look, you know, as much as Mr. Perfect did. All right. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out.